The cardiologist had called it a small miracle, which was the kind of language cardiologists did not ordinarily use, and which stayed with Marcus for a long time after the appointment. What the cardiologist meant, translated from clinical language, was this: the finding had been made at a stage where the options were good. And the options were good because someone had brought it to his attention at a stage when most people did not bring things to his attention. And the thing that had brought it to his attention was a dog that had been sleeping on a 7-year-old's chest every night for 6 weeks. The dog's name was Hugo. He was a 4-year-old basset hound who had been living with Marcus and his daughter Lily since Lily was 5, and who had developed, over 2 years, a sleeping arrangement that Marcus had accepted as a basset hound's right to negotiate. Hugo slept on the lower half of Lily's bed, and Lily had accommodated this by sleeping in the upper half, and the arrangement had been in place for 18 months, without incident. Then Hugo changed it. He moved from the foot of the bed to Lily's chest. Not aggressively, not the disruptive arrival of a dog claiming space, but with the specific, deliberate settlement of a dog that has decided a new position is required and has implemented it carefully so as not to wake the child. He was there in the morning when Lily woke up, and not there when she went to sleep, and Marcus had not been able to determine the moment of transition. He did this for 6 weeks. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you are in the right place. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Marcus's wife, Elena, noticed first. She said, "Hugo is sleeping on her chest," she said. "Why?" Marcus said, "I don't know." He watched it for 2 weeks before he mentioned it to the pediatrician at Lily's annual well visit. He mentioned it the way a parent mentions things at well visits, as additional context, offered neutrally, not as a primary concern. He said, "Our dog has started sleeping on her chest. I don't know if that means anything." The pediatrician said, "Let's listen to her heart." She listened for 3 minutes, which was longer than a standard cardiac assessment at a well visit. She said, "I'd like to refer you to pediatric cardiology." The cardiologist found an arrhythmia. Not a dramatic arrhythmia. Not the kind that produced symptoms Lily had been reporting, because Lily had not been reporting symptoms. Because 7-year-olds with intermittent arrhythmias often do not recognize what they are experiencing as something to report. But real, documented, present, and manageable, with monitoring and medication if indicated. The cardiologist was the one who used the word miracle. He said, "Small miracle your dog was sleeping on her chest for 6 weeks. He said, "We don't find this particular presentation through routine screening. We find it when someone brings us something to look at. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard." Marcus asked the cardiologist about Hugo. The cardiologist said what cardiologists said when they were in the territory adjacent to their expertise, but not in it. He said he was not qualified to explain the mechanism, but he had heard similar accounts and found them credible. He said, "Cardiac arrhythmias produce electrical irregularities that manifest as changes in the mechanical rhythm of the heart, changes in the vibration pattern of the chest wall, audible and tactile at close range. A dog sleeping on a chest is in direct contact with those vibrations at a sensitivity level that is difficult to replicate with instruments at that proximity," he said, whether the dog was detecting the arrhythmia specifically or detecting a deviation from the normal pattern he had established over 18 months of sleeping. Nearby, the result was the same. He was there, every night, close enough to register what was happening. He said, "He gave you a reason to listen. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return." If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Lily was monitored over the following year. The arrhythmia was documented and categorized and watched. It did not require intervention at the current stage. She had follow-up appointments scheduled at 3-month intervals. Hugo resumed sleeping at the foot of the bed approximately 3 weeks after the cardiology appointment, and the medication management was established. He did this without announcement. Marcus noticed it the same way he had noticed the original change, which was by finding the configuration in the morning different from what it had been the morning before. He mentioned it to Elena. She said, "Do you think he knows she's being managed?" Marcus said, "I don't know what he knows." He thought about this for a long time. He thought about 6 weeks of chest sleeping and a cardiologist's use of the word miracle, and a 7-year-old who had not known anything was different. He thought about 18 months of a basset hound establishing a baseline, and 6 weeks of a basset hound responding to a deviation from it, he thought. The difference between what Hugo knew and what he could explain about what Hugo knew was the same difference that existed in his own understanding of any complex system. He understood the output. The mechanism was still being worked out. He went to check on Lily at 10 o'clock that night. She was asleep. Hugo was at the foot of the bed in the configuration that Marcus now understood as the configuration of a dog that had completed a task and had returned to rest. Marcus stood in the doorway and listened to his daughter breathe. He could not hear anything specific. He could not detect anything with the instruments available to him from the doorway. He thought Hugo could. He thought that had been enough.